Okay, great. We're live. Okay, so welcome to tonight's interview. I'm live with Nikki from Knots and Kisses, Wedding Styling and Stationery. I decided to do these lives just because most of my weddings have been rescheduled until 2021, 2022, or the end of this year. And so we've been having lots of questions from couples who are really struggling at the moment with their wedding planning. So we decided to I decided to interview a couple of wedding industry experts in different areas, just to kind of give some insight into what you can still be doing during lockdown and planning your wedding over the next few months when obviously restrictions are lifted. So yeah, we have Nikki, who I met. Where did we meet, Nikki? Was it at I think it might have been at
a long time ago.
Wedding Fair. It might have been at one at Exeter Castle, I think.
Oh, possibly. You might have been doing the photos.
Yeah, and you were there with Anne, I think, and you had an amazing. I loved your stand. It was amazing.
Oh, that was my old stand before I went all dark green.
Oh yes, yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, I think there was an old. I had my old white stand at that point, possibly. So yeah, before I rebranded. But yeah, that was ages ago.
Gosh, yeah. Who was that? Was that Blue Fizz Wedding Fair, wasn't it? Yeah. Love them. Okay, so we met a long time ago, and we've worked on a number of style shoots together. Not on a wedding yet, but I would love to.
What happened?
Yeah, but yeah, style shoots have been absolutely amazing. Nikki has just got so many amazing ideas and such a unique style. Absolutely love it. As you can see from her amazing house, she's very stylish, and I always love her color palettes, and yeah, just amazing ideas. So I would love to introduce you, but I think you'll do that much better. So introduce yourself, please.
Okay. Well, I'm Nikki. I run a company called Knots and Kisses, which my lovely other half actually came up with the name, so I can't take any credit for that whatsoever, to be honest, which is terrible. But we do, well, it was originally a stationery company, so stationery only originally, but we've since expanded into styling and design and coordination of weddings as well. So we can help you with setup and styling your wedding, coming up with a scheme for everything and putting that all together on the day, so you're not rushing around like a mad thing the morning of your wedding and can sit down and relax with a glass of champagne, hopefully. But yeah, it's been a weird kind of couple of few weeks, to be honest, adjusting to lockdown. So yeah.
Cool. So and so how long have you been doing your styling, and why did you go from stationery to styling? Because obviously it's quite different there.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it was always in the plan. I come from kind of like a creative background, so I've not telling you my whole life story, but I did a degree in fashion illustration and design originally, and then went into a career in visual merchandising for quite a few years in retail. And I'd always kind of wanted to work in weddings because I'd done the usual kind of waitressing jobs when I was a teenager, and done lots of waitressing at weddings and just got absolutely obsessed with them. I'd stand at the back of the room and kind of discuss with the other waitresses about everybody's colour schemes and whether we like them, which is terrible, I know, because you really shouldn't do that. But it kind of what got me interested in weddings. And then I did essentially designed and styled and did stationery for my sister's wedding. But so when I kind of decided to start running my own business, because I didn't want to kind of be in the rat race anymore with retail, that I basically decided to start it with stationery because of my graphic design illustration background. It just seemed the ideal thing. But me and my husband had always talked about it being a fully immersive design experience for weddings, because that's what I'd done for my sister's wedding. And so, but you know what things like when you're running a business, you kind of, things get away with you. And 5-6 years down the line, I was still just doing stationery until we planned our own wedding. And that kind of started the desire to actually include styling in the business again. So yeah, in well, how long have we been married? Hold on a second. This is bad. 3 years ago, I kind of, after our wedding, we added the styling side of the business on as well. And that's kind of really quickly progressed. And that's actually quite a large portion of the business now. I'd say it's now 50-50.
Wow.
Whereas, you know, yeah, 3 years ago, it was pretty much just stationery. But I love doing both, because doing styling allows me to really get involved in people's weddings, and I'm there on the day, which is great. I mean, stationery is wonderful, and I still love working with paper and doing the graphic design side of things. But being there and having the privilege of being there on people's wedding days, there's just nothing like that, to be honest. So yeah, I love doing the styling as well.
Oh, so nice. Yeah. And how long did it take you to plan your wedding?
To be honest, not long at all. After Anne proposed, I pretty much had most of it planned in about 3 months.
Wow.
But I mean, I'm not suggesting that everybody can do that. I was very lucky because I'd already been working in the wedding industry for, oh gosh, 7 years at that point. Probably, well, about 5.5, 6 years when we first started planning the wedding. And I obviously knew everybody in the wedding industry down here already. So I essentially just, well, the hardest part was trying to decide between friends that I knew already in the industry as to who I was.
Yeah.
And to be honest, in the end, a lot of that was taken out of my hands because people contacted me rather than the other way around. So I kind of operated it on a first come first serve basis a little bit. But yeah, so it was a lot easier than most people have planning a wedding, to be honest, because I knew where to go straight away. But I think that's the joy of having somebody involved in your wedding planning or styling your wedding that knows where to go for everything, because it does make things so much easier.
Yeah.
I love a spreadsheet. So
yeah, I think as well, like I know from style shoots, having a team that you've worked with, you know that everyone will work well together. So obviously different teams for different venues and locations, but I think, yeah, that's really important. I love it when I'm at a wedding and the bride says, oh, you know everyone, and it's just really nice because it's like, yay, it's all my friends and we all work really well together. So yeah, no, I love that. That's great. So what's my next question? Yeah, so just going on to elopement. So at the minute, obviously the government has released, you know, potentially having much smaller weddings. I think that was yesterday. And I know the shoots we've worked on have been elopement shoots. So what's kind of attracted you to styling elopements, and what's been and what is your kind of favourite thing about elopements?
Well, I mean, firstly, I think it's amazing that the government have kind of released some sort of well, not released yet, but we've got inklings of some sort of progress in the wedding industry over lockdown, because I think it's been a long time coming where things have been mentioned for restaurants and bars and all that kind of thing, and the wedding industry is a little bit in limbo. Obviously, for a lot of people that really want that big wedding, that's not going to help much, but I think it's amazing that there is that possibility there for people to still have the marriage even if they can't have the big wedding. So I think that is really good, and I think it may just mean that people have to rethink slightly about their ideas about weddings, about the possibility of splitting it into two halves and doing that kind of the actual marriage with the people very much closest to them, and then going on and doing a big party at a later date when all of this is over. But also, actually, I think it's important to realise that possibly that 10 people might have to include your registrar and your witnesses and the photographer and anybody else that you decide in the industry that needs to be there. So it may not just be 10 guests, it might be. But anyway, other than coronavirus, I do love elopements anyway. I think the Southwest has become a bit of a mecca weddings, and I absolutely love that. I love the fact that we've become like a destination for smaller weddings, and people come down here and they kind of they elope, but you know, I mean, that not necessarily just the two of them, but possibly the two and their children, or the two and, you know, very close members of their family or friends. And they come down and they use it as an opportunity to get married, but also kind of have a bit of a holiday down here as well, which is lovely. So, and we've got so many venues in the southwest, in Devon, Cornwall, Somerset, that are really specialising in that kind of elopement wedding, which makes it so much easier. I mean, you know, places like Brick House and Ever After and King Trench, all those kind of places, loads more that I haven't mentioned. And it can give a really personal family feel to a wedding that you won't necessarily get with a much larger wedding. I think there are pros and cons of both type of wedding, and I love both type of wedding, but working on an elopement wedding is always I always almost feel part of the family a little bit. You kind of get to know those people that are getting married and their nearest and dearest really, really well, and that's always really, really lovely. Plus you can kind of, I think those that are looking at eloping possibly spend a little bit more on like slightly more luxe touches for their wedding, I think, because they're keeping it small. They're able to just splash out a little bit on the luxuries and the kind of making things really, really beautiful. So that's always really, really nice, is that you've only got one table to style, or, you know, a small ceremony backdrop, something like that, but you're able to really go to town on it, because the budget's not sounds quite mercenary, but the budget's not spread as thinly as it would be over a large wedding. So yeah, that's always really, really nice.
Yeah, I've been at elopements where I've been a witness and they haven't had any guests, so it's just been me and the venue owner as witnesses, and then it's almost like I've been their guest and I've been their best friend.
Yeah, no, and it's really, really lovely because you get to really, really know them on a much more personal basis than you would do a large. I mean, I get to know most of my couples, you know, quite well, but actually on the day of a bigger wedding, you might not actually spend much, if any, time with them once you've kind of set everything up. You might see them, you know, you might see one of them really briefly in the morning whilst you're doing setup, and if you need to deliver something to them, and then you might, if you are doing a turnaround time on a room later in the day, then you might see them a little bit then, but you do try a little bit to be in the background as much as possible at a larger wedding, because they don't really want their guests to see you. That kind of stuff should all just be going on behind the scenes, to be honest. So, and yeah, some weddings where I'm just doing the setup and I'm in and out before the ceremony, and there's no need for turnaround because it's all in separate rooms, I'm kind of gone before anybody gets, really. So yeah, I think smaller elopement weddings, you kind of get to have that interaction a little bit more.
Yeah, because I think also on bigger weddings, people are just too busy. They need to kind of do this, do that. Whereas elopements are a lot more relaxed and chilled, and there's a lot more time because they can just kind of go to their own schedule, and, you know, you can just kind of take the weather into consideration and stuff. Yeah, I love elopements. They're so nice. Yeah, my first ever elopement was on a beach, and my friend asked me if I was available for a photo shoot because she's got a bikini company, and I said to my husband, "Oh, I'm doing a photo shoot with so and so next week," and he was like, "What, in October on the beach? That'll be a bit cold, won't it?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, that's a bit weird." But I said, "Oh, maybe she's got a new line out or something." And she basically was having a secret elopement, so I only found out the day before, and I was just like, it was amazing. It was like this walk down to the beach, and she had an amazing handmade dress, actually, which was just like amazing. That's what I love as well, because I think people think that elopements are for budget reasons. Sometimes they are, but actually I think
find they're not, to be honest. I think
oh really?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, yeah, like you said, occasionally, but the majority of elopements that I've worked on, they've actually really wanted a smaller wedding because they've wanted a smaller wedding, and they've just wanted to keep it them and their children. And I think, and like I said, in that way, they kind of actually want some really lovely little details and do splash out a little bit more on their dress, and, you know, all of that kind of thing. So I think, yeah,
I love them. Oh, I just love them, and they're all so different as well, which is great. Okay, so obviously it's been absolutely crazy with COVID-19. I imagine, well, I know you've been rescheduling because we were supposed to do something last week, but something came up. So yeah, what has your COVID journey looked like for you and your couples?
To be honest, I think for everybody, it's been incredibly stressful. Obviously, I dread to imagine what it must be like for a couple at the moment trying to negotiate their way through COVID-19, to be honest. I think the couple of weeks before lockdown, for me personally, were probably the worst. Just from the not knowing of exactly what was going on and whether or not venues were going to have to cancel people's weddings, or, you know, venues were definitely going to be shut. I had quite a few weddings late March, early April that, you know, were having to make decisions very, very last minute, there was some heartbreaking phone calls on those weddings, to be honest. I think since lockdown got cool, things have almost a little bit become easier, because obviously we're on this rolling 3-week thing. So at least we can kind of look a little bit ahead and kind of take it. I mean, for me, all of my weddings now up until September have been postponed until next year. So I'm kind of, which to start off with was obviously a shock. But actually it's, you know, I think given how uncertain everything has been and how uncertain things still are with regards to anything after the current lockdown restrictions, I think certainly for the couple's mental health and for that of their friends and family, I think postponing to next year was absolutely the right thing to do. Most of the couples that I've worked with have been able to do that relatively easily with their venues, which has been fantastic. I've obviously been involved with helping them rearrange suppliers and checking dates with all the suppliers that I coordinate. So as part of any styling job, I do a little bit of coordination. I'm not a full-on wedding planner, but obviously I coordinate the florist and speak to the cake maker about what we're doing with regards to styling the cake, and obviously any hire items or anything like that that's coming in, like furniture and plates and cutlery and all of, you know, candlesticks, all of that side of things. I can take the coordination of all of that off of their hands. So when it's come to rearranging COVID, there's a whole raft of suppliers that they haven't had to deal with because I've done all of that under my umbrella as stylist. So I think that's been good, and all my clients have been amazing, quite honestly. They've all been absolutely brilliant. I've had offers of payments early and you know, all just really, really people checking how I am and all that kind of thing. So I think I decided to really early on to allow couples to transfer to whenever they wanted to, and to transfer to next year free of charge. Now I know that it's also I've been able to do that because of the financial position I'm in, and because of how my business is run. I know that it's important to realise that every single business within the wedding industry runs very differently and runs on different profit and loss margins and different business plans, and so you can't just assume that every single business is going to be able to do that. But I've been lucky to be able to do that, so that's been fantastic. But I think, you know, every business has got to make the decision that's right for them and how they're able to stay afloat, and able to still be doing weddings next year. So yeah, I think I have been really, really lucky, to be honest. Obviously there's a bit of a cash flow situation, but you know, it's not been easy. I'm lucky. I've also got different arms to the business in that I do a venue illustration side of my business as well. So I'm still doing lots of anniversary and birthday presents, and that's kept me quite busy throughout lockdown. And I've also started to take on bookings for next year for people that were getting married in 2021 anyway, and that's been lovely. I think there was a bit of a lull to start with, the first few weeks of lockdown, where people just really didn't want to think about their weddings, full stop, because they had, quite frankly, more than enough stuff going on. But yeah, people are starting to book again for next year now, which is fantastic, and it's really lovely to speak to people that are still excited about weddings and their wedding plans. So yeah. Excuse me.
Yeah, see, we were just the last bit that you mentioned, we were the opposite. At the beginning of lockdown, we were absolutely crazy with reschedules, but also with couples who didn't want to miss out for next year. So they were booking up and they were like, we wanted to get married this year. So we just decided to do it now before all the dates and all the suppliers run out. So yeah, we were crazy. But we've been the same as you because of the way our business is set up with the associates. We can just swap each other around. So if say I had a booking and I was booked for their reschedule date, we would obviously, with permission of the bride, we would say we've got these photographers available, so we could just swap them all around. So we've been really lucky. The only wedding we've cancelled is someone that's having a destination wedding, and yeah, they've had to cancel it, so that's really sad because but that was obviously
it's very sad for people with destination weddings, because obviously there's a whole other raft of regulations that you kind of have to take board with, you know, with when the Foreign Office is going to say when they're going to allow people to travel for weddings. So yeah, that's pretty horrible.
It was in Italy as well, so Italy, so I know.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it's really sad because we were really excited about that. So what's been the most difficult and challenging thing for you and your couples?
I think initially that whole navigating a situation and a landscape that's not set in stone anymore. I think, you know, I mean, I've always struggled with that anyway. I like finite deadlines and structure, and I think the not knowing is really difficult. I think it's difficult to know what to do because you're getting told lots of different things from lots of different people. Certainly, you know, with couples, they've obviously, if they've got lots of different suppliers, they're all being told different things from different suppliers, and all their suppliers are in different situations. None of us are actually really getting much information from the government about anything. And obviously, to a certain extent, that's understandable. You know, it's on this 3-week rolling, so we're getting small amounts of information as to what's going to happen at a time, but it's very hard to plan in advance for anything and know, if you're an August, September bride, what to do in that situation. I've had conversations with people that have very much wanted to postpone now anyway, because they just can't cope with the thought of getting to 3 weeks prior to the wedding and having to then postpone, which is totally understandable. But obviously some venues are allowing, some venues aren't, and I think, again, like I said, that's understandable depending on their own business model and what they're hearing. So I think it's the unknown of everything that I think is the most difficult for both couples and businesses to deal with. But then also having to find dates that all your suppliers can do, and negotiating that. It's been kind of it's very much been a practicing negotiation, I think, from both couples and businesses as to how they can go about doing that and make sure everybody comes out of this as well as they possibly can. But obviously there's going to be some casualties along the way with regards to some suppliers that you just aren't able to get a date together with, and what you do in that kind of situation. So I've obviously been trying to take some of the stress off with my styling clients. Certainly most of the stationery orders have been fairly straightforward, to be honest, because stationery is often done in a much more shorter time scale, and it's either needs doing or it doesn't need doing. And obviously any stationery orders can be postponed to next year really easily. So I've just been trying to take some of the stress off of my styling clients, you know, contact florists and hire suppliers and everything for them, so they've got less people to contact, essentially, because everybody must have this enormous list of people that are involved in their wedding and they need to essentially negotiate with. So I think that's been the trickiest bit.
Oh, it sounds like you've been a real blessing, because I think when you have all the people to contact and your family, because my brother had to reschedule his wedding and he was just really stressed because they were trying to navigate the venue, the caterer, obviously the family members, who's available, who's on holiday, you know, all those things, and just trying to keep everyone happy. It's just really been really stressful, and you can't just make one decision, you have to wait for everyone to get back to you. So absolutely, I know for them it was a very long process, so I'm sure you've been a real help to them.
Trust.
Oh, so if a couple is either just starting planning their wedding or they're thinking about rescheduling, what advice would you give to them?
Well, I mean, I think certainly those couples that are rescheduling is to, number one, just talk to your suppliers, keep them in the loop, keep in mind that a lot of them are small businesses and sole traders, and they're just trying to do the absolute best that they can at the moment to keep their business viable. But yeah, mainly just talking and kind of keeping all the lines of communication open. The big problems that I've heard from other suppliers, and certainly from couples as well, is when either side of the relationship between supplier and couple kind of one of them goes quiet and just goes off the grid, and I think that doesn't help anybody. So just keep chatting constantly, to be honest. But also I think if COVID has affected your budget or plans, sit down and seriously really look at your priorities. Certainly if it's affected your budget, you know, take it as an opportunity to have a look at everything again. Make sure you were still sticking to the priorities that you set out when you first started planning your wedding. And if some of those have changed and they can be kind of scaled down to fit a new budget that you might have, or, you know, tweaked, then without costing you lots of money in change fees and all that kind of thing, then I think it's worth doing. And I've also strangely, over the last couple of weeks, well, not strangely, really nicely actually had a couple of bookings for next year for styling from couples that are postponing but have completely reworked their whole wedding plans and now want a stylist on board to help.
Oh, wow.
That. So it's been lovely to speak to people who are taking it as an opportunity to do something different and really running with that, and almost viewing it as a positive. Obviously not every couple's going to be able to do that, and everybody's in a completely different situation with regards to money and planning their wedding and what they can do. But yeah, I've had a couple that have changed venues, one through because they've had to, and one because they actually just decided to completely change their ideas. So yeah, it's been nice to chat to people that are re-looking at their wedding and kind of reworking it a little bit and trying to come up with new plans. But I mean, to anybody that's still planning a wedding that was originally due to get married in 2021 and 2022, I just think my first advice is just, you're allowed to be excited. I think, you know, I think during definitely the first few weeks of lockdown, there was a lot of kind of, oh God, we don't really want to be promoting what we do. And, you know, coming across like weddings are amazing, because currently for a lot of people this is a horrible situation. But actually those people that whose weddings haven't been affected and are still planning for next year, just don't feel guilty about that. It's still a really exciting time for you to be putting plans in place, and I don't think, you know, you should feel guilty about doing that and carrying on planning and carry on getting excited about your wedding. And, you know, just start thinking about sparkly dresses still, and really nice suits, and, you know, what food you're going to eat. And it's a really good time now because you've got, you know, I mean, some people are obviously working really hard during lockdown, but obviously other people have got that time to kind of sit down and actually work through it, and definitely take the opportunity, if you've got it, to get as much done now, because before you know it, it'll be a month before the wedding and you're running around like a mad thing, desperately trying to sort out what your place settings are going to be, and it's all too late by that point. So yeah, I think take it as a good opportunity to do lots of planning if you can.
Yeah, we've been the same as you, actually. We've had some couples who've decided to just completely reduce their wedding for financial reasons and just have a much smaller they've just decided they want something a bit smaller because of everything that's happened. And then we've also had other couples who've had to change venues because their venues were fully booked. They couldn't reschedule. There's quite a few venues in Cornwall like that. But then also lots of people have had to completely change their season from the summer to the winter. So they've had to redesign the whole wedding. It's just absolutely... So we've been advising a lot of couples on like winter photography, because obviously they've never had to worry about it being dark at, 4:30 p.m. So
the golden hour just completely goes out the window, don't they? But it is rethinking. But I mean, it does give you an opportunity to get creative again.
Yeah.
Really look at things like that, and look at new flower options that you hadn't considered, and look at dahlias over peonies, and I love it. I mean, some of my favorite weddings that I've styled have been autumn weddings. So I think if you were desperately wanting to get married in the summer, it's obviously a blow, but actually the color schemes for like autumn are so much richer, and you can use lots of velvets and wool and sheepskin, and it can be just really, really beautiful. So don't be too downhearted if you've had to change to an autumn winter date.
No, I think some of our favorite weddings, or some of my favorite weddings, have been where it's been really rainy and it's been winter, and there's no option but to get creative with the photography, because you can't do the shots that you plan. So you kind of have to shoot round under some holly leaves or something really random like that. But they've been some of my favorite photos. So it's really exciting, actually. I think that I know lots of my brides are really upset that they couldn't have their summer wedding, because they literally had like this vision and they planned it and the outfits and everything. But now I think they're just excited to get married, because I think that's what it comes down to at the end of the day, doesn't it? So
absolutely.
And they've got time to plan it, as you say, which is good. During lockdown, I obviously have a baby and a little girl I'm homeschooling as well, but because my weddings have been rescheduled, I've been trying to keep busy. So that's why I set up these interviews, because I just wanted to kind of stay connected with the wedding industry and kind of still give value and advice to people. And I saw that you have been doing your tablescape Tuesdays. Tell us more about that. They look absolutely amazing.
Well, I mean, obviously we all businesses in the wedding industry kind of suddenly had to stop working pretty much straight as soon as they announced lockdown, and I was like, this is going to be terrible. I'm going to be like sat at home, not actually at any weddings, styling any events. What can I do to keep creative, and actually, like you said, add that value to my Instagram account, and just keep stuff pootling along. And so I came up with the idea of Tuesday tablescapes. So every Tuesday at 2 p.m. on my Instagram stories, I do the filming in the morning, for complete honesty, but I upload them at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I kind of I'm sat in my dining room currently, but in my dining room I have a kind of 6-foot dining table, and I was like, well, that's the ideal opportunity for me to kind of get creative, use what I've already got in the house, because obviously I've got bits and pieces around that I style weddings and shoots and everything with, but also just my general household stuff as well, but not only kind of give people inspiration for what to do for weddings, but also if anybody's bored and just kind of, or they've got a special occasion whilst they're in lockdown, and they want to kind of dress the table up for their husband's birthday, or child's birthday or something like that, then they've got there's some inspiration for what they can do in their own homes as well. So every Tuesday I've kind of been laying my dining table with a different tablescape. So some of them in more elaborate, others some of you definitely recreate fairly easily in your own home, I think, and others are definitely something more like I would do at a wedding. So I get my kind of table frames out that go over the tops of tables.
Oh, I love them.
Kind of hanging installations from them. I did one a few weeks ago. We got lots of little hanging baubles with tea lights in, flickering down the table. So I've kind of done a few that are much bigger kind of floral arrangements, and I've had to be really creative with that, because obviously certainly in the first few weeks I had no access to florals either. So I've done tablescapes where I've essentially cut the hedge down from my out to my front garden.
Love it.
For I've got lots of dried flowers in the studio anyway that are obviously really, so dried flowers have been great to kind of use, because they've been really easy to kind of come up with loads of different ideas for, and I've got those in stock. And then I've done quite a few with house plants as well. So kind of using lots of house plants for a bit of a kind of 70s boho look. And then, yeah, the last few weeks I've been able to get odd bits of flowers and stuff in as well. Occasionally, once I sent my husband to Sainsbury's for see what they've got in there, and kind of gave him a list of things to buy from Sainsbury's. So yeah, definitely that one was definitely something you could do in your own home, because I'd literally gone and raided the supermarket for flowers and what they'd got. So yeah, but it's been just really fun to kind of connect with people. I've had loads of messages of people saying that they really enjoy it. It's become a bit of a highlight of their week, which is really lovely. There are people that go, oh, I tune in every single Tuesday, which is brilliant. So I've been really, really pleased with that. And yeah, I think it just gives people a bit of inspiration as to what you can do on with very little.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like you, I've been doing lots of kind of updates as well. So I've been taking the opportunity to update the website and all of that kind of thing. Planning new copy and styling brochures and welcome packs and all sorts of stuff. So yeah, but that and the Tuesday tablescapes definitely kept me busy. So that's been brilliant.
Where can people are they available on Catch Up or? Yeah,
well, I've got them all saved in my highlights.
Okay.
My Instagram profile as well. So each one's got it'll say Tuesday table in the little circle and then the name of it underneath. So I think there's probably, well, however many weeks we've been in lockdown, there's like 10
or 12. Yeah, I think it's 12
yeah,
now.
So, yeah, I think I started doing them possibly not the first Tuesday of lockdown,
okay.
Tuesday of lockdown. So yeah, I think there's definitely 10 or 11 on there now. But yeah, you can watch through them all and watch my fringe get progressively longer.
Oh no, I think it's such a good idea, because I think people have been looking. I know lots of wedding anniversaries. People have been trying to do like a lovely styling table, so that'll be nice for people to use for inspiration for maybe their wedding anniversary.
Totally. And yeah, any birthday. I mean, I've got my husband's 40th birthday next week, so God knows.
Oh wow! Oh, were you going to have a party for that then?
I can't speak too loudly because he's in the other room.
Oh right, okay, all right.
The word fan, put it that way.
Oh, so just going on. Looking forward for 2021 2022, what kind of I'm not sure if you follow trends or color palettes, textures, florals, but what are you kind of where do you draw your inspiration from, and what are you kind of looking forward to in the next couple of years?
Well, I mean, firstly, I love a trend, and I am not ashamed to say that. Nuts and Kisses, as far as I'm concerned, and I've always tried to be, is about embracing trends but adapting them to make them work for your personality and who you are as a couple. I think we can often in the wedding industry try not to get involved in trends, or couples when they're planning their weddings will always go, oh, but I want it to look really classic so it doesn't date. News for you, everything dates. So no matter what you do, somebody's going to look back in 20 years time and go, oh God, that was very 2010 or 2020 or whatever. So if you love something, my opinion is always just go for it. If you love it at the time, do it because you love it, and you won't regret that, to be honest. I don't think ever when you look back at your photos. So yeah, embrace trends if you really want to. If you want to keep it really lovely and classic, then absolutely go for your life. So with regards to trends for next year and beyond, I mean, boho's not going anywhere, which I'm really pleased about. So if you're thinking about wanting a really nice relaxed vibe for your wedding, then that's probably going to be perfect. That's, again, it's a really lovely trend for autumn. So lots of autumnal earth colours. Terracottas, lots of dried flowers, lots of rattan. But it's also good to remember that you can do boho without doing dried flowers and rattan. it's, you know, it's more about that kind of relaxed casual vibe, and so you can do kind of quite a luxe version of boho with lots of metallics in it, but just really kind of organic wildflowers, and you know, and those kind of earth terracottas and greens and things like that. Also, on the complete juxtaposition and the other side of things, there's obviously a huge trend at the moment, which is just starting to see in interiors, like abstract shapes and organic shapes as well, and quite bold graphic looks. So I'm really loving that at the moment, and that's really fab to explore. And I think that'll become, over the next year, that'll be really, really big in weddings. But I think lots of colour as well. I think colour palettes for weddings aren't as strict as they were even a couple of 3 years ago, to be honest. I think there's so many more colour palettes for weddings now than even a few years ago. So you've got all those terracotta and earth colours, but and you can do lots of different shades of green, but you've also got, I think pastels are going to be back in a big way over the next few years, but not like a few years ago where it was all very kind of muted blush and gold. This is like proper sugary pastels, sugary kind of pastel pink and lilacs and mint colours. Yeah, and kind of and then on the other side, muddier tones, so olives and sage green, and you know, mixing things in with gold and terracotta and rattan, rather than kind of mixing greens in with white as a, you know, kind of natural thing to do. So yeah, there's lots of amazing trends coming. As you can tell, I get very excited about
it. It's great.
But I'm also, I mean, I'm a huge fan of interior design, and so a lot of my inspiration comes from interior design first, rather than wedding trends. I think it's all too easy to kind of go onto Pinterest and latch onto what everybody else is doing, and certainly if stuff's coming over from America and Australia and kind of going, you know, oh well, you know, that's what I need to do. But I think grasping, getting into you know, inspiration from interiors is always it kind of throws you outside the box a little bit, kind of explores ideas for installations and backdrops and things like that you wouldn't necessarily have thought of if you just looked at wedding imagery on Pinterest, for example. I think if you start looking at interiors shapes and what people are doing in furniture and things like that, that kind of gives you better and newer ideas, I think.
Oh, great advice. Yeah, I never thought about that. I think my friend was a graphic designer, and she said she got her inspiration from interiors, but then I can see how it can come through to weddings. Oh, exciting. I absolutely love your terracotta shoot, the one with the big terracotta wall. Where was that? On a beach?
Oh, that was down the wild coastal shoot with my triangle.
Yeah,
that was down at Ness Cove.
Oh, I love that one.
Just along the coast up. I'm in Torquay in Devon, and yeah, it's kind of a few coves up, really.
Wow.
The cliffs there are just beautiful.
Yeah, I've never seen
sandstone. It's stunning.
Yeah, I haven't seen that in the UK. I had a shoot in Ibiza, and we were stood in front of something just like that. And I've obviously seen it in America, but I've never seen it in a shoot in the UK.
But to be honest, I had no idea it was there until Mel from Maxi Photography mentioned it to me, who shot the shoot, and I went down and I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah,
we're going to shoot in front of this. I mean, it wasn't the shoot turned out amazingly, and I absolutely love the look, but the way you get down to Ness Cove is through an old smuggler's tunnel, and lots of steps.
Oh,
and it's fine going down, but getting everything back up was an absolute killer.
Well, at least it'll probably make it harder for other people to go down there. That's amazing.
Well, hopefully, yeah. I mean, there was so few people on the beach. There was like a few dog walkers, and that was kind of at us. So we were. I mean, you know what it's like on a shoot. If you're doing a styled shoot, there's constantly people coming up.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
And saying congratulations to the bride or groom or brides. Yes.
Yeah. But no, it was we were in a lot of pain after that shoot, but I think
yeah, no, it's stunning, really, really striking. It really just jumped out. I haven't seen anything like that, so yeah, loved it.
I think that's for, like, you know, saying to people to kind of think outside the box a little bit. I mean, the look for that, if people hop onto my Instagram and have a look at it, the look for that for the bridal model was totally not what you would expect from bridal wear. But I think if you are that kind of person anyway, you should be able to make a statement at your wedding. For anybody that hasn't seen it, that's listening in, we had a massive orange feather mohawk headdress that was made by Jamie at the Lucky Sixpence, and very boho dresses, and it was it was quite a statement, but I just loved it. I thought it was fabulous.
Yeah, I love that headpiece as well. Yeah, because it's funny, I got married 4 years ago and I wanted to wear a flowery, not completely flowery, but white, and then it had a few flowers at the bottom.
Yeah.
And it was so unusual. Yeah, but it was really unusual, and my daughter saw it and she started crying, saying, "You can't wear that, it's not a proper wedding dress." So I bought another dress, but it was, no one was wearing them then. And now, and then the following year, everyone was wearing a floral dress. I was like, oh, I could have started a trend.
Oh, your wedding was gorgeous.
But yeah, it's funny how things just suddenly, you think, no way, I could never do that, and then suddenly everyone's doing it. Like coloured dresses as well, that was just not happening, and now it's, you know, the norm. So we're wrapping up very soon, so is there anything else that you can think of that I haven't touched on that you think, just anything else you'd like to add at all?
I just go back to my point really about people just keeping excited about weddings more than anything else. Is just just keep planning and keep being excited, and even if you've had to postpone, just, you know, take some time out, obviously, to mourn your previous wedding, but then get excited about it, and planning new things if you think that'll keep the momentum up and keep you going for however long you've had to postpone for. But think outside the box a little bit more. Don't be afraid to try things new for your wedding.
Oh, great advice. Yeah, I've been worrying about posting on social media because I was worried that it would seem, you know, insensitive, or that, you know, people are struggling with their weddings. But I did a poll, and I think 95% of people said, we still want inspiration, we're still planning our wedding, we're still going ahead. So even when they were rescheduling, they were still, you know, wanted the advice, they wanted you know, tips, or they wanted to get inspiration from pictures. So I think it's been a bit of a hard thing to navigate at the start.
I think for the first few couple of weeks, I think most businesses went through the same thing, where they were like, oh God, should I be posting? And gradually I think people really started to get the feeling that everybody actually just really wanted some inspiration, and also some kind of, you know, some time to not think about COVID and everything that was going on with that. And actually, you know, weddings are about, you know, two people getting married and the marriage, and that's all incredibly important. But when it comes down to it, it's also about really, really beautiful stuff and pretty things, and having an amazing time and being with all your friends and family. And if you concentrate on that kind of side of things, you can forget, hopefully, a little bit about the current situation as well.
I think it would be a good distraction, wedding planning. I know it's funny because some people have just got all the time in the world, and others are just working like crazy. So absolutely.
It's just everybody's in a totally sick job. I had a fantastic phrase the other day that somebody said to me, that we're all in the same storm, but not everybody's in the same boat. So you've kind of just got to think about what everybody else's situation is at the moment, and not necessarily assume they're in the same position that you are.
Yeah, it's tough with wedding supplies as well. It's the same, isn't it? That, you know, my husband, he's working like crazy in a job, whereas some of my friends, both them and their husband, are self-employed, and they're literally like, their business is just on hold until further notice. So
I've got
it's tough.
The same situation. My husband's, you know, in architecture, and he's working full time, hasn't been furloughed. So we've been really looking in that instance. But I've got other friends who are both self-employed, running their own limited business, and obviously that's what impacts really badly. So everybody's in a really different position.
Same with couples as well. So if people want to either find out more about styling or stationery, or just get in touch with you, how is the best way to get in touch with you?
I generally always say to kind of hop onto my Instagram and website to start off with. There's a contact form on our website that you can get in touch with, but there's also loads of information on the website as to the styling services that I offer. Very, very shortly, my stationery house collections are going to be available to order again directly from the website. I had to take that off last year because I wasn't well for a while, but that's coming back on. So if they're after stationery, they can order online really easily. But yeah, drop me an email or drop me a quick message on Instagram. I will then transfer you over to email because I like everything in one place. But yeah, and then once we've had that initial contact via Instagram and or via email, I generally like to schedule in an actual call or a Zoom call. I'm doing lots of Zoom consultations at the moment, so that's all been really new, but also a really, really nice way of having that initial contact with people. Actually, it's been really nice to, and I'll probably keep that in place, to be honest, because it's been really nice to speak to people face to face before we then go for a venue visit and have a proper meeting. So yeah, definitely get in touch and we can organise Zoom calls and normal calls and all sorts of things.
Yay. Yeah, lots of our brides are from out of county, so we've always done quite a lot of Zoom, or we didn't do Zoom, I think we did FaceTime or Skype, but yeah, we were doing a lot of Zoom now, which is great.
I used to do Skype when I was kind of I've had a few international brides and that's always come in handy, but it seems like Zoom's the way to go now. So
yeah.
Yeah,
love Zoom. Okay, brilliant. So thank you for coming on. It's been great hearing about all your amazing, I love it because I spoke to Jenny Wren weddings planning last week, and it's so lovely because you're both so amazing, so talented, so creative, but you've just brought so much such different advice and inspiration, and your creativity and just your ideas are so different. And yeah, it's been great hearing from both of you kind of, and just how you approach weddings in such a different way. I love it. So yeah, so this video will be available on Catch Up, so I'll share it with Nikki so she can share it on her social, and then I will put this in IGTV and also on the Facebook. So if anyone's logged on halfway through or towards the end, you'll be able to catch up, and I'll be putting all Nikki's links in the show notes as well. So yeah, definitely check out her Instagram. She's amazingly talented, and yeah, I love her Instagram as well. It's just like beauty and creativity and just pure style. So yeah, amazing. Great. So yeah, thanks Nikki, and yeah, look forward to seeing all your amazing weddings next year.
Yes, absolutely.
All right then. Okay. Yeah, have a great week, and yeah, look forward to catching up soon. Okay, bye.
Bye.